Fashion Dolls. It is Transformation Tuesday, August 27th, and welcome to another episode of Style by Stevie. Our very special guest today is an actor, producer, director, and he is also a rap artist as well too. And he's also a part of one of the most iconic casts for one of the highest grossing films in history, and that is Wakanda Forever. Joining me today, Fashion Dolls, we have Jarrell Pyro Johnson. All right. I hope you guys all are doing wonderful as I am. Do y'all guys like the eyes? Get into those eyes. Y'all see that red? My eyes were inspired by Lady Gaga from the Super Bowl. I wanted something red. I wanted something that popped. I wanted something that was fierce. And shout outs to the beauty team for making sure that we are right here every single episode here on Style by Stevie. All right. And this makes interview 667 for those of you who are just joining in. Be sure to share the live. And without further ado, Fashion Dolls, let's get our very talented, amazing, very special guest. Join me as we welcome to the dollhouse, Jarrell Pyro Johnson. Hello, hello.
Hey, Glenn. How are you?
How are you? Welcome to the dollhouse. I'm doing wonderful. It is such a pleasure to have you here.
I love being here. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You are so welcome. So before we kick off this interview, how has 2024 been for you so far? It seems like we're now at the end of August. We'll be pretty soon in September, and then before you know it, October. And your birthday's on the 1st. My mom's is on the 7th. So you're a Libra, she's a
Okay.
Libra, and mine is on Halloween, the 31st. So I'm a Scorpio, so we're on the cusp. All right. So before we get to that, how has 2024 been for you so far?
Actually, 24 has been really cool. It started off really weird. It started off really, really bad actually, but I mean, as of now, things are going really well. Like I'm in love with 24. I'm just excited for what's going on in 24. Like it's been beautiful. Now,
And you have so many great things that have happened. When I introduced you in the beginning of the show, you are a part of one of the highest grossing films in history, and that is Black Panther Wakanda Forever, which grossed 859.2 million in box office worldwide, and that's making it the sixth highest grossing film of 2022. So we'll get to that because you've also done some other things in your career as well too. I mean, you are the ultimate hyphenate. You rap, you produce, you direct, you act. There's nothing you can't do. But I like to start with my guests from the beginning. So, is it true that you grew up in Compton, California, and you developed a love for music at the age of 5 years old?
yep, very true. Compton, California. I was born and raised. Compton, it's rough back then. For sure, it's better now. It was super rough back then. So I had to find an outlet. I was in love with my grandmother. My grandmother could do no wrong. So she was big into jazz. So she just used to put these jazz tapes. I don't know if you remember, but back in the day, they used to have cassette tapes that came in like a book. It was like a book of cassette tapes, and it's like the genre you like. You subscribe to it, and they send it to you. So she got like a bunch of tapes of jazz, and I used to use you remember, I don't know if you remember Home Alone, the little walkie-talkie thing. I
Yeah.
used to record myself while the music was playing, and that would be like my recorder, and I would play it for her to hear it like I was performing. So yeah, 5 years old.
So, who was some of your favorite musicians growing up?
Oh man, it was so versatile. I loved Ice Cube. I wasn't allowed to listen to Ice Cube, but every time I left the house away from my parents, I would always listen to Ice Cube. That was my guy. Will Smith, I listened to him a lot as a rapper growing up because he was clean. He didn't cuss, so I could listen to him. But outside of home, it was either Ice Cube and DMX when it came to rap. Those were my two favorite musicians.
And you also were in a music group, Dawn Style Music Group. So tell us
Mhm.
a little bit about that. And it fit in 2015. So tell us a little bit about your group.
Yeah, when I went to college, I went to Hampton University. Shout out to the Pirates, home by the sea. What we did is I always wanted to be a fraternity. My family came from a legacy group of fraternities, but thing is coming from California, like my idea of fraternity was a little different. So I didn't really want to join a gang because I'm coming from a whole other level. So what I decided is I kind of made my own way of getting in a group kind of without joining like a fellowship sort of. So I made a group called Alpha Down Omega, and from there we just did a bunch of outreach programs. We tried to help communities. We tried to help fellow students who couldn't learn as much as we felt like they couldn't catch on. But from there, we just became friends, became cool. And next thing you know, it was like, hey, let's make music. It was already in my blood anyway, so we formed it to Don Family, and then from Don Family went to Don Style Music Group, and that's what we started.
And you speaking, I love what you just said. You said giving back to the community. I've seen you speaking at elementary schools, and we're seeing what's going on with them trying to take certain books out of
Yeah,
school, erase our history, Black history. How important is it that the next generation go to college and get an education? Because we're now seeing, and I mean, ever since the pandemic hit, we couldn't really go out. We had to do things virtually. So it's a lot of historically Black colleges and university, Howard, Spelman, so many out here.
yeah,
How important is education
uh,
to the next generation of
yeah.
up and coming Black stars?
We don't speak about Howard. We don't talk about Howard. Nah, we don't do that. No, that's our rival school, so I don't know about Howard. But I think going to college, well, sometimes especially after COVID, as you said, it's just the fellowship, being around your peers and learning like they're learning, and you get networks. And then you can always relate to people in life, and like, oh, well, we went to school, we took this class together. We learned the same thing. We kind of learn maybe not the same way, but the same concepts, the same ideas. So it makes the camaraderie that much closer on that level. But when it comes to the education piece, it's very important because it's just weird. Like the way the world is going, everything is going AI, technology, and pretty much what I see, because I do a little financial coaching too. What I've seen is that the human, especially Black humans, we get held back a lot because a lot of us we turn to the negative side. Like we turn to the negative things in life. We tend to try to find some way to relate, and we have no way to relate to each other, to anyone that's similar to us. So we tend to get behind. AI is already advancing 10, 20 times in the future. And if we're not at least educated to at least be one step with it, we get left behind. And honestly, we don't have that much education in our communities, in the Black community, as much as the other communities. So it's very important for us to try the best way we can. And even if you have to find friends and hang around the right people to have that knowledge base or even to learn that college is even possible. Because, I mean, at 7 years old, you can tell me college was possible in Compton, California. So without the right people and the right other people like us that are similar.
Absolutely. And getting into this business, my mom told me, I told her I wanted to host a talk show, I wanted to host a platform. And one thing she wanted to reassure us is that we always have something to fall back on.
Yeah.
Education is definitely key. And, you know, you can have all the glitz, all the glamour in the world, but one thing that I want to be remembered for is this the
Yep.
knowledge up here, and it's important.
Sure.
So we need these books, we need
Yep.
education, we need that. So when I seen you on stage speaking at this elementary school, I'm like, this is
Yeah.
what we need more of
Yeah.
because
Well,
we need to use
and
our
my thing
power.
mainly for those kids was it's just let them know possibilities. I wasn't taught possibilities. And the thing is, there's more possibilities now than it was then. But just having someone that looks like them, tell them that you can overcome the drive-bys, the gangs, the negative. There is a positive light there. You just have to want it and you have to reach for it because it's there. It might be hard to get it, but it's there as long as you reach for it. You know.
Absolutely, and it's imperative that we have role models out here for the next generation of youth that want to get into the entertainment business, that want to rap, that want to sing, that want to dance, that want to act, that want to produce, that want to write. They want to do so many things, and you have to understand the groundwork that goes into it. Now,
Right.
at what age did you discover your passion for acting?
Well, actually, it was kind of late. I would say 2000. I can't remember my age exactly. I think 2006. I can't. My math ain't mathing right now in my brain. I wasn't prepared for that question, but I know it was in 2006. No, and the thing is I didn't know I wanted to act. Didn't I didn't have a yearn for it at all. All I want to do is nothing. Um, but after college, I kind of wanted to get to do YouTube because YouTube was the
Oh,
thing. And when I was
yeah.
making music, everyone was saying, I think 2006 was like the second year, matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken. I joined the second year YouTube became a thing. Um, I had music. The thing is, someone would say, "Well, hey man, you get your music out more if you make YouTube videos." And I'm like, "Okay, I guess." So my goal was to make a music video of my music. Now the problem with that is growing up and after college, I was broke. Um, and not only that, but I moved back to Compton, so my money was even more limited. So it was like, well, how do I do this? So I literally had to look at other people and learn how to do it. So as I did it, I developed. 'Cause I remember back in the day in music videos, maybe like in the '90s, like not even Usher. Let's go back to like I'm gonna go even older. Let's say DMX. So they used to have stories in the music videos. It wasn't just dancing and popping crystal and doing all the parties. It was like there was a movie associated with these videos, which made the song even more impactful because when you think of the song, you think of the movie. So what I did is I said, well, hey, what if I make a movie out of this kind of sort? I didn't know what I was doing. And I guess it turned out good because one thing led to another. My manager found me. Um, and from there, she's like, you should start doing movies. You got the talent. I'm like, I don't know how to do none of that. I never went to school. I never did classes. I don't know what that is. She put me in one movie, and next you know it, I'm an actor. And I'm like, wow, who would have thought?
And look at you now. Now, you've done so many projects throughout your career, but the one that I just mentioned is the most, I mean, one of
Hmm.
the highest grossing films in history of 2022, and that is Wakanda Forever.
Hmm.
Do you remember where you were when you got your call back for this role to be a part of this cast? Because you had the queen
Hmm.
herself, Angela Bassett,
Yeah,
the mother of Wakanda.
yeah,
I mean, I remember
that's it.
she's Tina Turner to me. She's Tina
Well, yeah,
Turner, and she will always be
yeah,
Bernadine from Waiting to Exhale. For my ladies out there, that is one of my favorite. That is almost every black woman's favorite film
yeah,
to watch is Waiting to Exhale. Me and my sisters
yeah,
and my mom
yeah,
religiously would watch that
yeah.
film. So, what was it like being a part of this all ensemble cast? And this is the sequel to the first one. Chadwick is not in this one, and it still
Right.
to this day is a shocker for me. And I know it must have been like
Yeah,
quiet on the set,
yeah,
literally, without his spirit being there. You know?
yeah. Yeah. Angela Bassett is actually one of the actors, that I always wanted to do a movie with because to me, Angela Bassett was like Boys in the Hood because that related to my Compton, 'Cause I was like, man, Cuba Gooding. So actually, it was Cuba Gooding, Angela Bassett, and Lawrence Fishburne. These are the three people I always wanted to be in a movie with. So when I got the call to be with Angela Bassett, I'm like, man, that's one. We're almost there. I almost got all three because that was my life. Like I felt like I lived that. Not saying I knew a Ricky, but that lifestyle was very, very important and close to mine. So to even get the call to even be in anything with Angela Bassett was already amazing. Not to mention, I did not even know it was Black Panther. I didn't know I was going to be in Black Panther. I told the story so many times. I didn't audition for Black Panther. I didn't even know there was a Black Panther. So I knew there was one. Okay, and I made a YouTube video. I manifested Black Panther. Let me say that first. I tell people that like if it wasn't for my manifestation, I would have never been a Black Panther. So after Black Panther 1, me and my friend made a YouTube video called How to Be Black Panther. This is before we knew there was going to be a Black Panther 2. We were just like, let's play games, right? So my goal was as soon as I do this and then put on the beads, I become Black Panther. That was the premise. So my friend, he's Russian, he decided to do it too, and he was like, "Well, how come I don't become Black Panther?" I said, "Because you're not black." So it was just a whole joke. We just made this joke thing. So next thing you know, I don't even know how this happened. I don't even remember auditioning. I don't know where it came from. It only was God. Believe me, it was. I got a call to do a movie at Tyler Perry Studios. Had no idea what the movie was, and then the name for the movie, I knew what the name of the movie was, but it wasn't named Black Panther. It was like a code name, which I don't know if I'm allowed to say what it is because of Disney and all that, all the legal stuff. But it was called something else. So I went, and I'm like, oh, cool. So I didn't know it was Tyler Perry Studios. I just heard it was Georgia. So I said, okay, cool, whatever. And then at that time, my use that whole year, I said yes to everything. That was my goal. So they said, "You want to come shoot the movie in Georgia?" I said, "Not really, because I ain't got no money." But I'm like, "Yeah." So I got a credit card, charged it, and went. Not to mention, I didn't have a hotel plan, don't have a car, didn't have anything. Not to mention, when I got there, I walked to set every day. By the way, That's a little story I don't tell people. I literally walked from College Park to Tyler Perry Studios every day to be in this movie, and I still didn't know what movie it was. So I get on set. They say, "Oh, your dressing room is over here," and I'm like, "Oh, cool! I got a dressing room. That's pretty sick." So I went to the dressing room and I saw these outfits, this costume, and I'm thinking like, "Is this like an action movie? Like, what are we shooting?" You know? And it was like, "You don't know?" And I'm like, "No." And he was like, "Well, we're shooting Black Panther." And I said, "No, we're not. Black Panther already came out." It's like, "No, Black Panther 2." I'm like, "There's a Black Panther 2 coming out?" Like, it's like, "Yeah, but don't tell nobody." I'm thinking like, "I'm gonna tell everybody. I'm gonna tell my mama. I'm gonna tell everybody." But so we did that. I got an outfit. And then I'm on set with this cast, and I'm like, wow, like these like this is, this is it. And it was so spectacular. So far as the cast, every single person I met, from Angela to Lupita, down to
Uh-huh.
Michael, to anyone, it was such a beautiful experience. And even with Chadwick not being there, you felt his spirit. You really did. It was so good. Everybody still referenced him off to everything. And Ryan Coogler is my guy. I love Ryan Coogler. Like I loved him before because Fruitvale
Oh
Station,
yeah.
but being with him in person, I was like, oh my god, like this guy is like. I tell people he's the Elon Musk of a director of movies because his mind is just different. Like he thinks different. He inspires me to be a director. But he's so good. So meeting him, then we lost someone else on set, Dorothy Steele. She
Yeah.
passed. That was one of the older tribe ladies. So we were dealing with Chadwick's, but then we were also dealing with the death that just happened. And it was just, and she was so great. Oh my God. Like she gave me so much inspiration. Like she reminded me of my grandmother. And it was just like when she passed, I'm like, I just talked to her yesterday. Like literally we were just hugging. Like it's so from there, the experience was just nothing. It's nothing I've ever experienced on set. And to this day, like I still feel like I'm there. Like I feel like it's my second family. Yeah.
What is one of your greatest memories that you took from this set with you in life?
Camaraderie. The camaraderie between the black experience. I can say like growing up in California, don't get me wrong, we have a black culture there, but even like at Hampton, I felt that again because in California it's not that big like it is in the South or like it was on Black Panther. Like I really felt like a sense of brotherhood. Like to this day, like I still have an Instagram group with a few actors from Black Panther and we just talk about what we're doing, what's upcoming, how we inspire each other. And I love them to death. Um, I think that was probably my best experience with people I met. Um, I mean, and if they needed me for anything, I would probably do it for free, just because that love that we all shared, and we fought through those hours of work and doing things, shots over and over again, walking in the rain. I got a funny story from that too. I tripped on set. A lot of people don't know that, and literally the whole the whole cast and crew died laughing because I was the only one that couldn't walk in the moccasins. Some weird feet shoes. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm not from Africa. I don't know how to walk in it. But it was just even that though. Like I enjoyed falling, because I fell on someone who caught me, and it was beautiful. It was nothing like it.
And it's amazing when you create a bond with the cast outside of the film and even on set, it's like a
Yeah.
family, a camaraderie. So that's amazing. And another thing that people don't know about you, shifting here, we're going back to the music, is that you released one mixtape and two studio albums. So
Mhm.
tell us the process going into the studio. What is going into the studio, a studio recording session like for you?
It's fun. I love it because it's my way of being me. That's probably me in my truest, rawest form is music. Because when you're an actor, you're being someone else's portrayal of what they want you to be. When you're an artist, you are you. There is no faking to it. This is how you really feel. This is what you really went through. This is like the true you. I love that experience because I feel like it's more me versus people telling and being associated. It's like my solo thing. Like I feel like a meditation almost. Like it's breathing. It's it's just impactful. Like I feel like, and I'm behind now. I'm supposed to be working on my third album. I'm like three songs in, but and I'm trying to do 15, so I'm behind. But it's been a lot going on. But I like to have time and write and just put my brain to paper and then my paper to music.
Yes. And what is the writing process like for you? Because I ask artists this question all the time when they're in an element, when they're writing. I know one of my favorite singers is Erica Badu, and I know
Oh, I
that
love
she's
everybody.
known for putting incense. Back in the day, she would do incense. She would have incense
Mhm.
in the room or lemon scented candles, all of these different things when she's writing her music. That's her
Yeah.
element. For you, what element do you like?
Well, I grew up a lot. My old element was way different than what my new element now is, and you can tell by my music. I'm growing up. I'm an adult now. I have children now. Before it was like on some saw me. All I needed was a bottle of alcohol and some other stuff. This was really old me, but now literally I can't even say it like the way I write now. I usually sometimes I don't even write. I just say it off my head how I feel. But there's some times where I'm on my phone throughout the day and I'm like, oh man, that's pretty cool. Where I'll see something, I'll just write it down. And then when I get to the studio, I try to connect what I thought that day with the words I said. Like, oh, that was catchy. That was a cool little punchline, like, man, like, oh, that's pretty good. Let's put it together, like I love that. So then I'll try to connect that with that and it just helps me think. That's pretty much how it is. My vibe it's usually I like the lights off. I'm used to recording in a hot studio in college in a closet with with just light and no sound system proof. So I'm still used to being hot. Like I gotta be hot in the booth because I feel like, all right, let me finish so I can get out of here. Like it's my way of being quick at the same time as being constant.
And what does music mean to you? Because you said coming from California, Compton, California,
Mhm.
growing up, it was pretty rough. Music can be like an escape for
Yeah,
people. And I tell this, this is one of my favorite quotes from one of my favorite singers, and that's Nina Simone. She says, the job of the artist is to reflect the times.
yeah,
So from you growing up now as a man, as a father, this music you writing, what experience has it given you in life? And how has it molded you in your fatherhood?
yeah. I think for me, music is just my escape. It's my way to get my like I don't know. Like I feel like if it wasn't for music, I would be so much more abrasive. I would be, and I hate to say it, I'll be more angry. I would be just a difficult person to deal with. I feel like when I make music, I can talk to somebody, and then when people started listening to it and subscribing and downloading, it's like, man, these people are listening to me. So let me tell them about what I'm going through. Let me scream a way that makes sense, that doesn't hurt anyone. Let me scream where I don't have to go to jail for feeling the way I feel or doing what I want to do. So it's just my way of screaming at the world and keeping normal outside of music. It keeps me
Absolutely.
normal and
Like you said, it's an escape. When you
yeah.
write, when you put what you feel on paper or you put it in a song,
Hmm.
like I'm naming all of my favorite singers today. Mary J. Blige is one of my favorite
Okay.
singers. And I said this last week on one of my interviews. I said the My Life album is one of my favorite albums for
Great
her
album.
because you feel pain. You feel
Yeah.
she sings from a place that is real.
Yeah.
And it resonates with so many people. You could be feeling sadness, you could be feeling happiness. She has
Yeah.
all of these different emotions and she
Yeah.
puts it into one album. It's like a
Yeah.
diary of her
Yeah.
life.
That's
That's why she titled
all
it
it is.
My Life. So an artist, the job of the artist is to say what people are feeling. And then when people listen to your music, it could be like, wow, I know someone who could have been through this situation, or I
Yeah.
have probably been through this situation, and they're saying exactly what I'm feeling. So, do you ever get responses from people that message
Yeah.
you saying, listen
Um
to your music, and this is how I feel?
Sometimes I have to remind myself that we're all humans, and that one of the major flaws of being a human is that we get lonely, and sometimes we just need someone to relate to what we're going through and feel what we feel. So, like when I heard one day someone messaged me on TikTok, and I'm not a TikToker, I don't really have time for it. But when someone messaged me on TikTok and said, "Hey, that song is how I felt when I went through a breakup and didn't know what to do," and I'm thinking like, first off, how did my music get on TikTok? Second off, really? Like, are you sure you got the right JPJ? It's not another JPJ or someone else. They're like, no, it's you. And I'm like, and then they showed me the song, and I'm like, man, I remember when I wrote that song, and it kind of took me back when I wrote the song where my brain was at. But then it also helps because it helps me realize that how far have I come dealing with a certain situation. It grew me up, and I'm like, wow. So maybe I can help you grow up the way that it helped me grow up. You know, like that. So yeah, very impactful.
Absolutely. Welcome, Mario. Mario Ozays underscore 123 says, "Hi, Barry."
Are you in Atlanta? Atlanta.
I, I don't know. I don't know no Barry. But welcome to the dollhouse, my love. Welcome. So now you have 11 out projects coming out. My question to you is, my next question is, how do you find the balance with being a dad and being an actor and an artist? Because I know for fatherhood,
Mm-hmm.
it's a job that is nonstop. And
Yeah,
I've asked all of my guests that question as well too. For being a parent in this business, and for me, I'm an aunt now, so I have a nephew. He's already starting to walk.
right, right. Yeah.
And my goodness, it's like you have to balance out with family and then your career as well too. But most importantly, your family, because that's your support system. They will always be there no matter what. So how important is balancing it out for you?
Well, the thing is sometimes I get a little sometimes I forget um what I'm doing sometimes, but sometimes I have to bring it home. And sometimes I try to take as many breaks as I can to just spend time on family time. But it does get a little difficult. Good thing about me is most of my family is kind of involved, very heavy with my film projects usually. My son has been on a few songs that I've made. So I try to like find a way to bring it together, intertwine it. But at the same time, like just last year, my son joined football for the first time, and I decided to just join as a coach, like be an assistant coach. And we had that football bond where it's like now I'm all into what you do, and I'm gonna put my music and my entertainment on the back burner and bring it back. So I think it's just important to know sometimes you do need to step away from that and focus more on your kids. So that's just the more thing I'm trying to learn more as I get older. But so far, I try to keep it open, balanced. Like even though I have these 11 projects coming up, I believe in the last 5 to 6 months, I've had a lot of free time to spend time with the family and get them going and figuring it out. But then when it's back to movie world, oh man, we're gonna be it's gonna be like military on film. Like we're gonna be on it like tough. But I feel like you do need to find a way to step away and give it to your family and kids for sure.
Absolutely. And even when you're on the road, because with you being an actor, an artist,
Hmm.
a writer, a producer, and with me being the hostess of this platform, I still have to make time for my family as
For
well
sure.
too, because that's important. It's a
Yep.
balance, and even when the pandemic, going back to the pandemic, we wasn't able to go home and visit them as much. We would have to stay literally on
Yeah.
set, social distance, whatever. And then thank God for the power of technology where we could pick up the phone and we could FaceTime. Like me and my family had a whole group chat on Messenger where
Yeah.
we would keep in touch with each other. And I know before you know it, the holidays will be here. The year will be out. We'll be in 2025.
Yeah.
And we'll still be, if we want to, doing things virtually. Thank God for Zoom because you can fit up to 100 people on Zoom in the
Wow.
calls. People were eating Thanksgiving dinner over the Zoom calls. Like people have become so
Great.
creative. And that's great that we have technology that we can keep in touch with one another and socialize with our families, even while we're on the road.
Yeah, no, that's very important. I love that. Like every now and then, like you have to call in, check in because that's your source. Especially if you want to be as good as you are, you got to remember your entertainment comes from. It comes from the source. Your kids are your source. Your family is your source. So it's always good to keep your source close, or you lose who you are. So yeah, I think technology has definitely brought us to a far way.
Absolutely. Now you have 11 upcoming projects.
Ooh,
I
yeah.
can't, I don't know which one. I mean, it's so many. You've got so many coming out. Which one are you looking forward to the most?
Yeah, even thinking about it, it's just like, yeah, I do have 11. Sometimes I just sign on the stuff, not realizing what I already have. You got to forgive me. Somebody, I'll tell you, like I've been so used to saying yes. Somebody, you want to be in this movie? Yes. You want to do this movie? Yes. You want to do. Sometimes I forget. But the most thing I'm most excited about right now is I just actually finished my first directorial film called Dinner with the God of War. That was my first one. It's in editing. It's in post production. That is so impactful to me because I did not know that I could get so many people to come to the state of Ohio. That's where I'm at right now. To come to the state of Ohio to shoot film that was very low budget and very low. I am so blessed. and I'm still, it amazes me every day. Sometimes I cry about it in the shower. Most people don't know that, but now you do. Because I have people coming from Florida, people coming from Texas, Georgia, um, California, 'cause that's where I'm from, and a few other states, just to be a part of this movie in Little Ohio. Like, and I mean, I barely could pay anyone a cent, but we made this hour and 20-minute film that is so impactful, that involves extensive makeup, extensive effects. Like, I am so excited to finally get that off the ground. Like, that's my baby. Like, there was no feeling that I could felt to see all these people that don't know me want to be a part of a film with me. Like, it was crazy. It was fun. But the most exciting thing that I'm happy about more than anything is called Thaddeus. This is a superhero film. It's a superhero black film. It takes place in the 70s mixed with a little bit of 2030. I kind of mixed it up. We're shooting that in November. And I have my kids a part of it. I have my girl a part of it. It's a whole family experience on this film. And it's just going to be really cool. I'm so excited. We're working on costumes now, trying to get the set together. We got the crew already, got the cast already, and I'm just so excited because this one is my original IP. So this is my first film that's never been made, brand new characters, and I'm so excited to put that out into the world about my experience and life into a film.
And you have some others coming out as well too. You've got Reckless Mercy, The Cutthroat Tapes,
Yeah.
Echoes of Dead Things, Smile Makers. Now we're used to seeing you behind the lens, but what's it like also? Wait a minute, let me read your comment. Nice to meet you, Stevie. Mr. Johnson here is the reason I came. I follow him, and he called himself Barry once on IG, and I
Oh,
thought the name
oh,
was still there. And I
Barry's my
see you
son.
follow me.
Barry's my son.
Thank you.
That's his name. That's probably why. Yep.
Welcome, welcome. I'm gonna try to follow you guys back. You know, IG has restricted certain things.
Yeah.
I've reached my limit on 7,500 here on IG, so I'm gonna try to follow you guys back. It's probably not gonna let me, but I appreciate y'all. I see y'all.
Yeah.
So you've got some other projects as well too. You've got Pagan, The Awakening,
Yeah.
and you said with this project here, you've got special
Mhm.
FX makeup. So I've seen it behind the scenes
Yeah.
in sci-fi film, and we know that that is a very extensive process.
Yeah.
So for you, what was it like working with your family in one of your projects? Because I know working with family can sometimes be
Yeah.
challenging, but for you, it probably was a breeze.
Yeah, no, it was cool. Surprisingly, it worked out pretty well, and it's cool to see their talents as well. Because sometimes you just see them on the family level, like, oh man, you're good at cooking, or you're good at doing this. But to see them be better at what you do, it's kind of amazing. Because it's like, man, like especially a child, when a child is doing something better than you, it's like, wow, that's pretty cool. Like you got a cool future. Like it doesn't make me like jealous. It makes me like, man, I want to work with you more. Um, so yeah, I think it just is more impactful to see that they are even wanting to be involved with your project. I think that's the main thing. And then for my children, like I love them to see my sweat and tears. Like it's very important that they understand hard work, and when you put your mind to it and you make it happen, it can happen. And that's the most impactful part for me when I have a family on set. Honestly,
Now, has any of them picked up the acting bug?
yes. It's funny because I just had like one child take it to school and I actually literally make them try to put it a part of the read. I don't think they'll do that, but it was fun and cool to see that. So that's fine. But the book just came out. I'm excited about it because I know a lot of people that want to be actors. So it's really cool to see how people are taking to it. Because I'm not a writer. I mean, I'm a writer of music, but it's cool to write outside of music.
Now, Mario has a question. He says, "What did you think of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever?" And guess who was there?
Um, I thought it was great, cool. Oh yeah, Mario just came in. Yeah, it was a great experience. I hope not saying anything. I don't want to give away too much, and I don't want the Disney. I don't want Mickey Mouse to come after me.
No, no,
But I hope there's a
no.
three,
You good?
and I hope
You
I'm
didn't
in a
say
three
anything.
if there is a three. Let's say that.
Oh, it was
Oh,
for
for you.
me. I'm sorry, Mario. I thought it was an amazing film, and it not a dry eye in the theater.
Yeah,
I can tell you that much because this is the sequel. We lost Chadwick Boseman, and I can't believe I'm saying it. My God, like
yeah, I
I
know. I'm so
remember
weird.
seeing the announcement. Was it on a Saturday when he passed? And
Hmm.
then the outpouring. At first I'm just like, because you know people post things
all
and
the
it's just
time.
like it takes you like, no, I don't believe
Yeah,
this. This can't be real. So I had to wait for other news outlets to publish it and say, okay, he's
yeah,
passed, and then
yeah,
come to find out it was true.
yeah. And he
Because
literally
as
just
you
started. I
mentioned with
mean,
DMX, there was a okay,
yeah,
did he pass? Is he
yeah,
on life
yeah,
support? All of these things you didn't know. So I didn't know until I actually seen the announcement,
yeah,
scrolling by,
yeah,
checking my Instagram, checking the messages.
yeah.
So this project right here, he would be so proud of it.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh,
then you
I know
had,
for sure.
go ahead,
For
I'm
sure.
sorry.
No, I was saying, yeah, you're definitely correct. He would have definitely been proud of this one.
And then you had one of my favorite fashion icons, Rihanna, do the theme song
Yeah,
for this film. So that was the icing on the cake
yeah,
right there for me. Phenomenal
exactly.
project. That's how I feel. And it is one of the 6 highest grossing films of 2022. So I'm going to read this number for you again. $859.2 million it brought in box office, y'all.
That's amazing.
That's how powerful this film was.
That's really amazing considering like being a part of the creation of it. Like when we were making it, I don't think we thought or I mean we knew it was gonna be great. Like come on, it's Black Panther, but I don't think we even noticed the experience that it was gonna hit and that be that impactful. Like it made. I mean, I was there when we were literally like just making it. It's so crazy to see how far it went. Like wow, and the film was so good. It was so good. Great cinematology. Like I can't even speak. It was just great. Everything was the cinema was great, the music was great, the scores were great, the acting was great. Everything was just so good.
And then when you think about it, the first buzz surrounding the first one that Ryan Coogler released, the Black Panther when Chadwick was here, it was a phenomenon. When people was going to see this film in the theaters, they came dressed in the garb as
Yeah, yeah,
characters. You had the Girl Scouts dressed as the Dora Milaje. I
yeah,
mean, this film was for the culture and to
yeah,
see
for sure.
representation because for me my superhero growing up was either Carmen San Diego or
Okay.
rest her soul. Eartha Kitt is Catwoman. And as a black woman, me seeing Eartha Kitt on
Yeah,
television, I'm just like, wow, okay,
yeah,
I'm represented. I see her. And
yeah.
then it was Nichelle Nichols on Star Trek.
Yep.
So I'm like, I feel represented. Black superheroes are out here. And
Yeah.
there is a backstory of Black Panther because you have the comic book. If you go back and you read the comic books, and I know my brother is a comic book collector. He collects video
Yeah.
games and he collects comic books. And those were two things that he took very, very serious. But if you've read the Black Panther comic book, you know the backstory of each film.
Everything. Yep. And they were accurate. They did really well on that too. I gotta give them credit on that for sure.
Ryan Coogler did an outstanding
Yeah.
job, and I'm glad that more that you've got Marvel and the Marvelverse. We're starting to see more and more black superheroes.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, X-Men, you got Storm, and there's so
Hmm.
many others, but Black Panther was for the culture because I
Yeah.
mean, we were saying the sayings in the film. We were doing. There were so many comedy spoofs. There were so many people dressing up as the characters for Halloween. So
Yeah.
Black Panther was definitely one for the culture. If not Black Panther, then definitely Wakanda Forever.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't a dry eye. At that ending, it wasn't a dry eye never.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize. I think my favorite part about both Black Panther series is the experience, the black experience between, the African culture versus the blacks that was taken and brought to America. Like that experience, but the way they brought those two together, I think was like so good. Like no one ever talks about that experience, like how they treat us versus how we treat them and how we're still a part of one, but we separate. Like I think they did an awesome job on that. Like seriously, really good.
Let me read your comment, Mario. You know someone who was also in Wakanda Forever was wondering why all the Avengers came for Tony Stark's funeral, but nobody came for T'Challa's funeral. Hmm.
I can actually answer that question.
Go ahead.
Well, Wakanda was still hidden from the world, so technically, people still didn't really even know Wakanda was even there. I mean, they just revealed it, but that was out there. Sorry, I'm a huge comic book fan, Marvel guy. I can tell you Marvel for days. Like I did comics, but yeah, no one knew about it yet, so that's probably why. That's one reason. But then, so far as for the film wise, what they would probably say is because they didn't accept outsiders into Wakanda like that. So yeah.
See, there
Hmm.
you go. Now, could you see? Speaking of comics, because you said you are an avid comic book fanatic, could you see yourself writing a comic book?
Well, that's what Thaddeus is. It's kind of like my own black superhero comic book I'm writing. So it's just straight to movie, not to film to video. Or not to comic, excuse me, just straight to video. If I were to do it, it would be super graphic novel. So maybe if I decided, I might try to turn this movie after we shoot into like a graphic novel because the way we're ending this one is it's room for continuations. So we kind of want to see if we can do a part two, part three. So hey, who knows? It might turn into a graphic novel.
Now, you know who else does comic books? And she was a part of the cast of Living Single. It's Erica Alexander. She published her own, started her own comic book company and started
Ah,
publishing comic books as well, to characters and all. So I would love to see more of that. Again, representation for the next culture of black and brown boys and girls is
yeah,
key because when they see themselves, they feel
yeah,
represented.
yeah. I love that. I love that.
And Mario says, then it was a dream come true that you got to be in the Marvelverse.
Yeah,
Thanks for the answer.
for sure.
I'll be giving it to the person who was wondering.
Anytime. Yeah, it was definitely beautiful to know that I was. Like you can Google me or and you see that I was like I am a part of the MCU, which is awesome, awesome too. Even besides I mean, being in Black Panther is already amazing, but to see also MCU next to me is really cool too. Like I'm literally a Marvel character. It's really sick. So
And
yeah.
it's great because you have your family and your children is going to grow up and they're going to see that representation of themselves
Hmm.
as well too. And it's just like, and I told one of my guests this last week. It's just like, okay, a girl flipping through, for me, if being in fashion, flipping through Vogue magazine and seeing a model on the cover that looks just like me, and I
Yeah,
feel represented. Or turning on the television, I'm seeing someone who looks just like me, same hair texture, same everything. I'm just like, wow, I feel included. And inclusiveness is key, especially when it comes to comic books, especially when it
yeah,
comes to creating, directing. And that's what I love about you, is that you,
yeah,
as a black man, you're saying, okay, I'm doing something for the culture because I want people to see that if I can do it, they can
yeah.
do it as well. So,
Exactly. Exactly.
okay, fashion dolls. So, before we get to our games here with Jarrell, my next question is, you have a single out right now called Adrenaline. So tell us a little bit about
No, I do.
Adrenaline.
I do. Listen, I got so much going on. I don't even know what I got out. I do have that out. So adrenaline was like my workout. I wanted to make a workout song because I like to work out, and I was like, well, when you're working out, you get that adrenaline. But the main point of that is I have a little artist I'm managing. His name is 40 Flow, and technically it's his song, but he asked me to be a part of it because I'm trying to help him. He's young. I think 16, 17. He's young, but he wants to be a rapper. So my thing is just another way for me to give back. It's all about giving back at this point in time in my life. So I just want to give back. So I said, well, hey, I'll get on the song with you. We'll do it together. And then it just went from there. He has a different kind of style, but then I'm trying to throw in some of the old style, that old rap, hip hop, trying to combine it a little bit because I'm trying to get used to this new music a little bit, slow, hard. But so I'm trying to throw mine in there too. But that's just what that is. And it was just about just getting that rush when you just in the moment, when you're in the mood, when you just need that extra pump, that extra like pre workout. You just that adrenaline that keeps you going for sure.
Absolutely. So if you guys haven't seen the single or heard it, please go. It is all out now on all platforms. Please go and download it and order it right now. Mario says, it's like I'm the only one who has been commenting lately. You deserve more attention, Mr. Johnson.
Yeah,
And yes, and
thank you.
people are coming in, they're engaging. I appreciate you all coming in and engaging, asking questions. Ask as many questions as you like. And there's the question box there as well too.
Yeah,
So I'm going to take some questions from the audience as well. So I appreciate y'all all for coming in and engaging in this conversation, because the purpose, sole purpose, he does deserve so much attention. People only tend to support negativity. Absolutely
me.
not. It's so
Oh, that is the truth.
absolutely. And I try to provide a safe space, and not only just a safe space, but an escape from what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
My mom tells me this. She says, see and don't see. And it's a lot going on right now in this upcoming election cycle. Y'all have been seeing my stilettos deep down in the paint, stomping for our beautiful Madam Vice President Kamala Harris because I want her to win. But not only just that, but I want you guys to focus on having fun. So the sole purpose of my platform is for you guys to have fun. It's for you guys to have an escape, a getaway. Because when we come home, we're decompressing. The kids are back in school. I don't have kids, but I have a nephew. He just started daycare
Oh boy.
yesterday. And when you get home, you want to decompress. You
Yeah.
want to relax. You've been at work all day. You've been in the office long hours. Pour yourself a glass of wine or champagne. Put your feet up, and you can watch Style by Stevie. I give you fashion. I give you looks. I give you amazing guests. I give you eye-catching, engaging conversations. And that's what I want you guys to have. Yes, see and don't see. Meaning you see the news. You see what's going on in the world. But I want y'all to have an escape and a getaway. Because we
Yeah.
become so our minds become so full. It's like a sponge. We soak up everything that we're seeing. That it's
Yeah.
just like I can't take it. It's overwhelming. I need
Yeah.
an
It's a
escape.
lot of
I need
noise.
different.
It's a lot of noise. And that's one thing I always try to teach, my kids. It's all about you got to find a way to silence the noise. Kobe Bryant was key. He was a genius at silencing the noise, and that's why he became weak. Rest in peace, Kobe. Love Kobe, but he found a way
Why
to
you had to
silence the
bring
noise.
him up? And you know,
Sorry, I
we
love
just celebrated
Kobe.
the anniversary. I love Kobe too. We just celebrated the anniversary. It's just like we've lost so many icons, and I'll never forget when the announcement flashed across the screen with him passing. Again, I didn't believe it because I'm just like we were in an age of disinformation and misinformation. He was one of the greatest basketball players, alongside Michael Jordan, alongside Charles Barkley. And I'm not a basketball fanatic like that, but they were icons
Yeah,
in their own right. And then to see that the news flash and him pass and his
yeah,
daughter was in there, I'm like,
yeah.
man, and we're just now celebrating the anniversary of his passing.
Right,
So
right. Yeah.
for you, do you remember where you were when the announcement flashed at his
So Kobe?
passing?
Oh yeah, I was in LA for sure. I remember. And I wasn't too far from where the site was. So I'm just like, oh my Lord. Like it just felt like so like real. I thought it was a joke too. Like I think that was mine, not saying that that's more impactful than anyone else's passing, but I think that probably hit me the hardest because it was that real. It was like right here. This was in the same vicinity. So yeah, that hurt. That hurt hard. Kobe that hurt. They hurt. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think we'll ever be able to shake the passing of uh, Chadwick Boseman, Kobe Bryant. For me, it was Whitney Houston. She
Yeah.
was one of my favorite singers. I'm like this beautiful woman with this big voice, and I remember being a baby, what 3 or 4 years old, watching her on TV, and she had this big curly hair, and I mean beautiful body, looking like a supermodel.
Yeah.
And she was a model for those of you who didn't
Yeah.
know. And she had such a voice. And I remember on the stage, they had some technical issues going on, but she kept going. Her
Yeah.
voice filled the entire room. I was mesmerized by her.
Yeah.
So to see her and Michael Jackson and Prince pass, I'm like, that, I can't believe it. I'm like, still to this day, we're in 2024. And their legacy, people are still talking about their
Yeah.
music. The same way you feel about Kobe is how I felt about Whitney as well.
Yeah.
They both, they all had an
Yeah.
impact. If Chadwick if Chadwick Boseman knew him, I wonder how he felt about it. About Black Panther Wakanda Forever, Mario.
How about Kobe? I think they hung out a few. I saw the pictures. I don't know how real that was, but I saw Chadwick. I saw one picture of Chadwick with Kobe. I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like,
Mm,
yeah.
yes. Let me read some of you guys' comments before we get to these games here with Jarrell. Style by Stevie, I absolutely love your hair. Love Jarrell Pyro Johnson and his work. Thank you, Allie.
Oh,
Thank you,
thank
girl. You know
you.
I'm a chameleon. I stay changing up my hair. Yesterday I was blonde. Tomorrow I might have green hair. So I'm always changing it up. You got to change it up. And I've realized that in this business, you got to. I love fashion. I love
Work on it.
experimenting.
Yeah.
The thing about fashion is you change your look for the better. So I'm always ahead of the fashion trends. I'm always in Vogue, in Harper's Bazaar, reading every issue. But if Chadwick Boseman, oh, Kobe, how
Yeah.
Kobe would feel about it. Ooh,
Yeah.
Jarrell, how do you think he would
I
feel?
think he would feel like us. I think he would feel like we lost a good one, a real one, for sure. Yeah. And actually, what's funny? Also, and I'm going to mention this. Debo, when he passed, it hurt too because he was
I
born
passed.
not too
Yeah.
far from me. He was I like,
Oh
well,
my
not, he was older than me, so he wasn't born like that, but he lived about 5 or 6 doors down in Compton from me. So that was affected too because like my mom knew him, like we were kind of close. So that was affected too because I felt like that was connected close. So man, Debo rest in peace as well because that was another one. I'm like, whoa, yeah, you know. So
Tiny Lester. I mean,
yeah,
in comedy, I mean, he was in every single thing from Friday to
yep,
Martin. We see him
yep,
everywhere. So he also had an impact on the culture as
yeah,
well too. We've
for
lost
sure.
so many icons,
Yeah,
so many.
for
And
sure.
I'm glad that you brought that up, Mario, with the picture of Chadwick and Kobe together. That makes me think about Left Eye from TLC, and she took a
Yeah,
picture with, I think, Tupac as well too,
hmm,
or somebody else. So it just goes to show you that icons meeting icons,
yeah,
and then their timely demise, their passing,
yeah,
the impact that they leave as well
yeah.
too, is something. Do you know Shad Gaspard?
No, not familiar. Mhm.
Hi, Rizzy. I am doing wonderful. Welcome. Yes, yes, Mario. It makes us think. In these times where we talk about nostalgia, we think about impact and
Yeah.
legacy and the future and what we want to leave for the next generation. And before we get to our games, y'all making me get sidetracked, but I'm glad that you guys are engaging in our conversation. Uh, Legacy, Jarrell, for you, because you have children. What is
Hmm.
one thing that you want your legacy to be remembered? Because someone asked me that question last week on
Yeah.
the show, if I'm not mistaken. And they said, what do you
My
want to be remembered for?
my biggest thing is possibility. I just want to be known as the person that proved that possibilities are possible. You know, not to be in the word salad thing, but possibility. Like if you want it and believe that it can happen, it's possible. But you gotta do the work. But it is possible.
I'm going
Yeah.
to go back to what you said earlier as well, too. You said manifestation. I
Hmm.
create vision boards. And back in 2023, I created myself a vision board for everything that I wanted to do for the year of 2024. And I'm looking at it, and one of the words that is on my vision board is focus. And I
Hmm.
kept my promise that I put on that board, which was to remain focused solely on my passions, on my endeavors, on everything that I wanted to accomplish for this year. I
Right.
marked it down. It's like I put a check mark on it. I don't actually go and mark on the board and put a check mark, but in my mind mentally I do a check mark like, okay, I've accomplished this, I've accomplished this, I accomplished this, and so much more. So that's what we think about when we talk about legacy.
Yeah,
He
for sure.
was in the first Black Panther movie, and he played a Jabari warrior just like Chadwick. He also passed. How it happened, he drowned. Oh man.
Man, so
See?
terrible. Mm. But then that's another that he said that I'm glad. If you don't start, you might not ever get an opportunity. You know, the fact that he even was in Black Panther, you know, it sucks that that happened to him. But the fact that he did that would might have been his purpose. He did it. He did what he set out to do, and he made an impact because you talked about him. So clearly, he made some kind of impact, which is awesome. So, and that's another thing about legacy. You do it. Don't think that it's not possible. If you want it, just put your feet in the street. That's what I was taught. Put your feet in the street and let the rest fall. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's important that we do that with the next generation that is coming up after us. And I said this last week on the show to one of my guests. I said, you guys see me here today as the woman who is hosting this platform. But there could be somebody else that could come along when God says, okay, it's time
Yeah.
for you to come home.
Yeah.
I want you to come home. It's your purpose. I have no choice but to go home. But for
Right.
now, no, I'm still going to be around kicking it until I can't do this thing no more.
Yeah.
I love what I do, which is being the voice of people and saying the things that people want to say, but
Yep.
they can't, they don't have a way to express it or get it out. But I
Right.
know when it's my time to come home, the next person is going to come along. And the next person is going to come along. Y'all see that cycle? And the next person and the next
Hmm.
person. So when we talk about leaving an impact and leaving a legacy, it's about the next generation. Because when we see our kids, I don't have kids, um, but my brother is now a dad, so it's crazy seeing him as a dad. And I'm just like, okay, that one day when he grows up and he walks across that stage and he says, okay, dad, I want to join the military or I want to go to college.
Yeah.
And they walk across that stage and it's just like you're crying. It's just like, wow, my baby is all grown up. This is the next step. They're on their own now. They're building their family. So That's what we think about when we talk about legacy and the
Sorry,
next
I don't know what was
generation.
that. Right, for sure.
Wait, I just gave you a follow, Miss Stevie. I wish I could follow y'all back, y'all. I'm maxed out. It won't let me follow, but I will try. I'm definitely gonna try to follow you guys back. Yeah, IG when you reach a certain number, 7,500 is the max, or you can go over. That's it. It's not gonna
No
let you
more.
follow back. But I see you guys as follows, so don't unfollow me. I see y'all. I'm gonna try to follow y'all back. But yeah, that's IG for you. When you maxed out and you reach a certain amount, they won't let you follow. But I got y'all. So that's key and imperative for the next generation. You don't have to, but if you can, thanks. Yes,
No.
I'm gonna follow you back, Mario. I'm gonna try to follow you back, my love. And I appreciate it. I appreciate y'all for coming through and just enjoying the conversation. Again, I want you guys to have an escape from everything crazy that is going on right now. You
Yeah,
guys make sure that you protect your sanity and peace because that is key and that is imperative in this cycle right now, this
for
climate
sure.
that we're in. So, before we conclude, I'm going to take some questions from the audience as well too before we yeah, after our games. But let's get right into our games. All right, Fashion
Okay.
Dolls, are y'all ready? So the first one is called the Fab Five. Now, you guys know that I love all things that are fabulous, that are amazing, that are colorful. So Jarrell here has to tell me five fabulous
Mm.
things that he can't live without. Now, some of the guys that I've interviewed on this show, you know how men are about their sneakers. They said their sneaker collection. One of my guests, um, Christian Barber, he said he can't live without his kicks. But what are five things that Jarrell can't live without that are fab?
Um, I would say kicks, but not every kick. It has to be Jordans. I can't live without Jordans. And the reason why is because as a kid, I was always told we couldn't afford it. So in my life, all I want is Jordans. That's why I love it. So I say Jordans number one. A good hat is number two. Jewelry is number three. This is easier than I thought. um, actually, maybe it's getting hard. Those three. I don't know. The other two is getting hard. Coffee. I need my coffee. I need that. Um, and then the last thing would probably be music, and not just my music, music in general.
All right.
So my Jordans, a good hat, my jewelry, coffee, and music.
All right, Fashion Dolls, there you have it. Mario says I'll be back. And I will be here. I'll be ready to take you guys' questions after the next game, Fashion Dolls. And this game is titled Turn the Tables. This is where my guests literally get to ask me questions that they want to know. It can be on fashion,
Ooh.
beauty, goals, passions, dreams, whatever they want to know about me, they can ask me. And the audience will know through my guest questioning. All right. So I'm going to pass the microphone on down to Jarrell here, and Jarrell is going to ask me some questions.
Oh man, okay. This is hard. Actually, I do have one good one. What has been the biggest hurdle in your career as a journalist or a podcast or an interviewer?
Wow. I would say being black is one,
Mm,
um, and being a woman is two. Whereas as a black woman, you're not heard. It's like whenever I speak or I say something, I'm labeled as angry,
mm,
aggressive. Oh, she's bitter, she's difficult.
mm.
And then when I try to point out things that I see, like, okay, trouble is headed your way, I sometimes are just gaslit and just disregarded. It's looked over. And then when something actually happens that I predicted happened, they'll come back and say, you were telling the truth. So those are two, being black
Yeah.
and being a woman. Because we black women we don't get heard enough.
Mm, that's good. Um, okay. I guess I can ask, what is your favorite part about interviewing guests?
My favorite part, I love talking to people. I've always wanted to host a platform. So it's sort of like getting to know the person, sitting down and having a conversation with the person. Like, okay, we could be having, like you said, coffee. You like coffee. So
Yeah,
we could be having coffee or tea or brunch. Like, I want to get to know you. Tell me
yeah,
about your life. I put my life on the front line on Front Street. Tell me about your life. I want to know about you. And that's what I want more and more people in the world to do. We're so quick to prosecute or judge a
that's true.
person. Sit down
True.
and have a conversation with them. And that's the sole purpose of my platform. It can be like having a conversation with an old friend.
Yeah.
And that's the type of environment that I want for people in this climate, to have a conversation and sit down and chat, because you never know what similarities
Yeah.
you could have with that person.
Not to throw it off the questions, but you said that it brought me something, and this is for anyone else that's listening. I was always taught from an older, he was from Canada. Um, I was always taught, and even growing up, back when I didn't like people that didn't look like me, growing up,
Yeah.
I had to learn. He always taught me, and it never came to existence or fruition for me until I got older, and he passed. But he always said, "Out of the conversation comes the light," and it stuck with me
Mm.
since. So if you don't have the conversation with people that are different than you, or look different than you, or do something different than you, you'll never understand that person. And you'll never
Come on.
make yourself more smart and less ignorant.
And see, that's
Um,
why we have to,
yep,
without passing judgment,
yep,
sit down and talk to that person.
yep. Okay, my next question is, if you weren't doing this as a career, what would be the thing that you would be doing, or what would be your career if you weren't doing this?
I would be a couture fashion designer. Like, I love Dior. I love Oscar de la Renta. I love Valentino. I love Giambattista Valli. Yeah, I
Mm,
mean, I could go on and on naming them all, but I mean, in the fashion world, it's very few black fashion designers that do couture fashion. I mean, there's Olivier Roosting
mm,
for Balmain, and
yeah,
just a few. There's just a few, very few. But I would like to design fashion. I've always
yeah.
had an eye for just color and capturing things. So if I
Wow,
wasn't hosting this platform, I would be designing.
I love that. Okay, I don't want to. This will be my last question. If that's okay.
As
Um,
many as you want.
okay,
As many as you want.
okay. What is the hardest part about interviewing guests? I mean, because I
I
do have, I'm gonna reference this question because I had someone reach out to me last week and ask me about being a public speaker. So to my brain, it's just like, well, what about interviewing people? Like, is that like, what's the hardest challenge about getting into that space?
you you're working with different personalities. You don't know what the person's personality. You develop
Mm,
a misconception about the person already in your mind. I'll give you an example. Um, he probably gonna see this. I'm gonna send it to him too. Kenyon O'Brien, who is one of my favorite actors. He's on his show Triangle,
okay,
and I was nervous doing that interview with him. Like, I watched the show. I've interviewed one of his previous cast members, David K.
okay,
Price, and then interviewing him because he's one of the lead stars in the show. I was like, my heart was beating, everything. I was nervous. I'm like, oh my God, Jesus, take the wheel, Father. I don't know how I'm gonna get through this interview. So my brother K Tukes, thank God for him. He called me before the interview. He always texts me like, okay, sis, are you good? You okay? You need anything? You got this. We are always encouraging each other. And in this business, there's very few people that you would find that would be like that, that would give you a phone
yeah,
call or text and be like, you got this. That would give you that word of encouragement and motivation along the way. And so he has given me that call. And then when I
wow,
did the interview with him, it went exactly as my brother K Tooks predicted. It was wonderful. It was so
wow,
much fun. And then I just sort of let my guard down.
that's
But the
beautiful.
hardest part of doing interviews is you don't know what personality you're going to get. You don't know how the person is feeling or what type of mood they're
Yeah,
in. And I always try to make it as fun and laid back as possible.
right. Sorry, one last question. My family is watching, and they told me to ask you this question. Uh,
Okay.
who, who is your favorite superhero?
My favorite superhero.
Hmm.
Well, since we have similar looks, the outfit aesthetic wise, and I'm dressed almost like her, but I don't have the rope. Wonder Woman. I would say Wonder Woman.
Okay, okay, that's a good one.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So, fashion dolls. That is it for turning the tables. Now we're going to take some questions from the audience. While you guys are typing, Jarrell, what are some words of encouragement that you would give to people in these times of uncertainty? Because I follow you and I watch your posts and you're always dropping gems and a reel, or again, it goes back to you speaking at the elementary school to
Mhm.
those kids. You always give motivational words of encouragement to people. So what are some words that you would give to people in times of uncertainty?
Well, I
or
kind of
just
would.
being unsure?
I would just come back and say what I said earlier. And I think that's probably the most important thing. Out of the conversation comes the light. And that's just to say, like, if you don't understand someone, if you don't get someone, if someone does, if they look weird or different from you, or you don't get them, just have a conversation and be respectful. Like, I mean, and give them a chance to explain who they are or what they're about before you just judge and just assume, because you know what assume does. So that's out of the conversation comes the light. Just have the conversations and be open, honest, and respectful.
Absolutely, absolutely. I don't see any questions, fashion dolls. So before we conclude, I'm going to give you guys today's final thought. Today's show is based solely on misconceptions. And it goes back to what Jarrell just said, which is sitting down and having a conversation. Instead of just assuming, I've looked at people's pictures and I'm just like, okay, I don't want to interview that person. That person look mean. But when I've sat down and had a conversation with them, it goes back to the old saying, and I'm pretty sure we've all heard this: don't judge a book by its cover.
Mm-hmm.
A person can look mean, but when you sit down and you have a conversation with them, it is the sweetest thing. Real quick before we go, and I get into the final thought of the day, I'm gonna tell y'all a story, and I know she's watching. My girlfriend, my sis, my bestie, Felicia. How we met in high school was she was quiet, she was sitting by herself, and being me, the outspoken person that I was, I came and I sat next to her. And at the time, we had, what was it, Teen Bop, Teen Pop magazine, one of them. And we were
Yeah.
big into Disney. You mentioned Disney. So I sat next to her and we just started flipping through the magazines together and talking. And I sort of broke her out of her shell. So I corrupted her. And I'm just like, okay, I got her to speak to me now. So ever since then, we started going shopping together. That is my girl. That is my sis. She texts me every day before an interview. So I'm like, ooh, she look mean. I don't want to talk to her. And then I know she must be like, who's this girl coming to sit next to me? Who does she think she is? So, but I sat next to her and we started talking about the things that we love. I'm a big Real Housewives of Atlanta fan. So it's one of my guilty pleasures. And we started talking about that and it broke the shell. So the key moral of that story is never judge a book by its cover until you've sat down and you've went through every chapter.
Yeah.
Talk to that person. So today's show is solely on misconception. So today's final thought comes from the late great Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He says, "Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly." So
Mm.
remember, when you judge a person, that's one strike you got to put on. When you go and God calls you home, that's one thing. When you judge people, you don't judge people. You take time, you sit down, and you have a conversation with a person, and talk to them, because let me tell you something. I've sat down with some of my guests, and when they sit in here, and I say this all the time with my guests, when my guests come on the show, yes, I'm the pilot, I'm the host of the show, I'm the creator, whatever. But
Mm.
when my guests come on, we rotate that pilot seat. I let them have that seat to tell their story, and I sit in the passenger side. And
Mm.
then when it's time for me to ask those questions, I go back to the pilot seat where my place is, and then I rotate back to the passenger side. But I do
Okay.
that because I want my guests to tell their story. And that is to let people know, hey, I'm just like you. And then when they watch the interviews back, it's just like, wow, I've been through this.
Mm.
So even me sitting in the hostess seat, I sit down with my guests and I'm just like, oh my God, I've been through that too. Or we share a birthday, or we
Yeah.
share the same, or we could be connected through anyway, not by blood, but we're family in different ways. Y'all see that? In different ways.
Yeah.
So I want y'all all to remember that. That's misconception. So,
For sure.
all right, Fashion Dolls, Jarrell, I had such a great time. And thank you so much. This has been longly awaited. So,
Oh, I
finally
appreciate
got
that.
it
Oh, but it
done.
has though. Yes.
So, before we let you go, let everyone know where they can follow you and check out the single. The single is titled Adrenaline, where they can check you out, everything. Give them all your
Yeah.
handles.
You can just go to pyro26.com. I made it real simple for everyone, literally, or just put JarrellPyroJohnson.com. That might even be simpler. Or you could just Google it, and literally everything, music, movies, my whole life, my journey, everything just comes up really fast.
Yes, Mario, you missed it. We was waiting. We was taking questions, but The replay will be up so you guys can feel free to comment, drop your comments down below. This will be interview 667. The road to 700 shows continues. Thank y'all all so much for my new viewers, subscribers. Thank y'all all so much for your love and unconditional
Thank you.
support, and continue.
I'm so glad I made 667 and not that other number. That makes me happy.
Yes,
That was meant to be.
yes. Thanks for the follow on Threads. I see you, Send Karaoke. Y'all are all coming, and thank y'all so much for y'all's love and unconditional support. And if you haven't, please head on over and subscribe to Style by Stevie Daytime on YouTube. And you can check out all of my interviews from the past seasons all the way up until now. Again, the road to 700 continues. And it begins with you tuning in, leaving your comments, leaving your feedback. I see it, and I love you guys. It's commentary. Y'all show me so much love, and this platform so much love. So thank you so much for your love and support. I can't thank you enough. Take care, everyone. And Mario
Thank
says
you.
that's for Jarrell. He followed you on Threads.
Thanks, Mario.
Thank y'all so much. And Jarrell, thank you so much for an amazing chat, amazing conversation.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You are so welcome. Joining me tomorrow, Fashion Dolls, we have Eric Ayala. So I will see you then. Take care, everyone.